Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Plot Riot. I am Lim, and we're going to talk about all of the movies and TV shows that I watched this year. Disclaimer before we begin, if it wasn't clear already from when I talked about all of the books that I read this year and when I talked about all of the games that I played this year, I didn't keep a list. I wasn't planning this. I came up with the idea to make videos recapping all of this like 3 days ago, and so I probably forgot most of the shows and movies that I watched this year, but I went back, I scoured Netflix, and I looked at all of my stuff, and I tried to figure it out, and I've got the best list that I can, and we're gonna go through it real quick. Starting us off, I know I began the year by re-binging The Walking Dead. This is one that I watched up until like the beginning of season 7, I think, and then a certain somebody died, and I was like, I'm out of here, and I never watched any more of it. But this year I came to the realization that, oh shit, all 7 seasons are out. They were concluding the last season this year, I think. So I was like, I have to get back on the train for this one and see how this ends. So I binged the whole thing with my roommates, and we watched all the way up until season 11, and now I know how it ends. And I kind of wish I didn't. Okay, here's the thing, alright? Here's the thing. I remember it being really good, because up until about season 6 or 7, it is pretty good. Even 7 or 8, I would say, it's like kind of starting to wind down, but it's not bad. It's really interesting. I think it was maybe even 8 or something that I was like, okay, maybe it's picking back up. Like, this is starting to look good again. And then we hit like season 9, it starts like really going down, and like season 10 and 11, like the last 2 seasons are like so hard to get through and so boring, and everyone you love is already dead by then, so like what's the point? Everyone's left the show. There's nobody left. There's no one important left. There's like one guy that we all love and all know that he's the only thing keeping this together. So we all know he's not going to die either. So there's really no risk, because if they kill him, no one's coming to watch this anymore. He's the only thing we have left. But yeah, I guess you could say I just didn't really enjoy the end of The Walking Dead. I also don't think that we need 3 spin-off shows happening at the exact same time about it when it was already 11 seasons long. Like, I know, like, the whole point of The Walking Dead is that it's supposed to go on kind of forever and that it never ends and that these people are going to be living this way for the rest of their lives, and, like, that's the point. But do we really, like, need to see it? Do we need to see all that? Can't we just have, like, a nice little ending that implies that it keeps going? Or... no? Alright. We definitely don't need we don't need the Negan redemption arc either. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say it. You can like Negan. You can enjoy Negan. You can think he's a great character. He's fun. You like him. He's great. I like him. Honestly, I do. We don't need to forgive him. Maggie doesn't need to forgive him. Okay? We don't need that. In fact, it feels kind of forced. But whatever. I can't spend this whole video ranting about The Walking Dead. Really good show up until like season 7, and then not so great. Maybe one of the worst TV endings I've ever seen. Just putting it out there. I will briefly mention that in the middle of The Walking Dead, around the season 7 premiere that really shook everyone to the core, we had to take a little bit of a break for our sanity and our hearts. So we did binge all of Breaking Bad right in the middle of The Walking Dead, and it's still a good show. This was a rewatch, so I don't really have anything to say. If you know me, you know I like Breaking Bad. It was really good. It was supposed to reignite my flames so that I could finally watch Saul Goodman, the spinoff, But then by the time that I watched through all of Breaking Bad again, I was ready to get back into The Walking Dead, and then I just didn't end up watching Saul Goodman yet. Still, it's on the list, you guys. It's on the list. Stranger Things is a TV series that I revisited this year. It was weird. Let me back it up a little bit, okay? I do really enjoy Stranger Things more than I thought I did, actually. I used to think it was like very overhyped, and then I like forgot about all the hype and revisited it this year just to see how it's doing. And rewatching season 1, I was like, actually, this show is better than I remember it being. It's actually really good, and I especially like the camera work, the cinematography is really nice, the set design and stuff, but also just the story. I am more partial to season 1 story, because after that it starts to get a little like wild, a little out there. Season 2 is still in there, and I still really enjoy a lot. Season 3, things start to get a little bit weird, and then season 4, I don't know if I like this new one. Seasons 1 through 3, I really enjoyed. I think it's a very unique story, and it's a little bit out there, a little bit childish at times, but sure, yeah, I mean, whatever, that happens. Season 4 was a little bit too out there. I really don't like him, you know, that the guy. He's gross. The whole storyline with him is gross. The whole thing is gross. Also, the whole thing with Hopper. Can we just, without spoiling, can I just say that the whole thing with Hopper from like I think it's season 3 and season 4, is weird. It's weird. And I didn't like it. Overall, though, pretty good. Pretty good. Thumbs up for the series as a whole. It's not one of my favorite series of all time or anything. Not even close. But it is enjoyable and I would watch it again. So I wrote Black Mirror down on this list because I remember watching it this year because there's new episodes. But I looked back at the episodes and I don't know that I really remember anything about them enough to actually talk about it, so I would have to give this one like a middle of the road score, only because it went in my brain and right back out my brain, and I don't remember a single thing that happened in there, but I know I watched it. I'll have to come back to it at some point, and at least it'll be fresh. You, the show You. This show really tickles something for me. It really, ooh, I like this show. Seasons 1 through 3 are seasons that I have actually seen already, and really enjoyed. They kept surprising me, and then it came for season 4, because season 4 is like brand new this year, I think. And I was like, I gotta binge the whole show once again just to get to season 4 because I'm crazy. And I was really enjoying it. Season 1 is fantastic, and the ending will shatter your mind. Okay, you will have to take time to recover from the ending of season 1, and then you're gonna wonder, where the hell could they go from here? They just ruined their whole plot line. Like, that was a fantastic and unexpected ending, but they just ruined their whole plot. And then you get into season 2, and somehow they make it work, and you're like, holy shit, I would never have thought of this, but this absolutely makes sense and works and is just as entertaining. And then it gets into season 3, and that kind of keeps the plot line that they got for season 2 going. And then you get to season 4, and it gets stuck Because season 3, like the ending, you're kind of at that point again where you're like, okay, well now what are they going to do? Because that ending for season 3 also just shook up the whole thing. And like, I can't see anywhere to go from here. Like, what are you going to do now? And season 4, I was really hoping that they would get me again with another little shock surprise where I'm like, oh my god, I never would have thought of that, but that's so good. And they didn't. Season 4 is just kind of exactly what you would think they might do. It's about a serial killer, basically, who's like obsessed with women, and specifically like one woman, and he hyperfixates on that woman, and he will kill anyone who he deems a threat to their relationship, or anyone who's gonna like who knows about his killing, or anyone who's gonna be a problem. Basically anything that's gonna come between him and this woman getting together, he's gonna kill him and do some weird shit, right? And so that's like basically the plot. And then the 4th season, he just kind of like does it again. I can't say more without spoiling it, but it's like, it just wasn't it. It just wasn't it. And like now there's gonna be a 5th season, and I don't really know like why or like what they're gonna do with it. Like, it's really starting to get to the point where I'm like, I don't know. Like, maybe it should have just been a 3-season thing from the beginning. That's enough ranting about you, though. Ugh, I'm obsessed with this show. I'm just very disappointed in season 4, but I'm still obsessed with this show. It's really good, and I really, really recommend it. Sweet Tooth is a show that I attempted this year. I didn't like it. I just felt like the acting was kind of came up short, and like the premise sounded really interesting in theory, but then like in practice it wasn't. And it was just like kind of confusing and weird, and there was like several different like subplots that like didn't really seem to be making that much sense with the main part of it. And it's about like these kids that it's about this disease, right, that came out, and it's been like killing everyone and just like getting everyone sick, and a bunch of people are dying, and it's a horrible disease. And then at the same time, apparently this disease has been like altering people's genetics so that they give birth to partially animal babies. And it's like random animals too. Like apparently like you could just like get a little bit of the virus in your system, and now all of a sudden you have the chance to have a baby that's like half hawk or half deer or half fish. There was a fish baby at some point. Listen. It could have been cool. It could have made sense. It just didn't. It didn't end up making any sense, at least to me. And there was also a lot of like cinematography issues. Like, I remember there was this one point where they're eating dinner with another family, and the family is all wearing masks because they're afraid that this kid, this half deer kid, is gonna have some kind of weird genetic problem or be carrying the disease, and they're afraid he's gonna make them sick. So they're all wearing a mask at dinner, and then they take off the mask so that they can eat, because like they had to be convinced to do so. The person they were with, that the half deer kid was with, was like, don't worry, I promise he's not sick, blah blah blah, you can take your mask off. And so they reluctantly took them off, and this kid takes like one bite of food, maybe, he might not even ate any of it, and then like 2 seconds later there's some little like thing about like the mom is like, oh, you've made a mess, and like wipes the food off of his mouth and is like, go to bed. And and I'll meet you up there later, or something like that. Listen, I can't remember it exactly right now off the top of my head, but it was weird because like he had been wearing a mask the whole time. He hadn't even eaten his food, so how did he get it all over his face? And then she dismisses him after he's had no more than one bite, possibly. Like I don't know. It was like a little mistake, but it just bothered me, and that it sticks in my head for some reason, so I had to mention it. Sweet Tooth, would not recommend. This year I decided to rewatch one of my favorite series of all time, Sense8. Sense8 is a really, really good show. Unfortunately, it was canceled after season 2, so it kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger, and it is very short. But I still think it's very much worth it. I am obsessed with the characters, obsessed. And I also, I just, I love like the idea of it, the setting, the cinematography, the fact that they were able to even do this. I can't help but wonder if maybe like part of the reason it was canceled was because of the budget, because it must have cost them so much money to try and film this thing. It's 8 different people scattered all across the globe, living in different parts of the world, from Berlin to India to Nigeria to Korea, and all kinds of things. America, obviously, London, and they can communicate telepathically. They're in this thing called a cluster, which is like born from another Sense8, which are the people who can communicate telepathically, basically. And they birth another cluster, and that cluster suddenly realizes that they're all able to hear and see these people who aren't here, and at first they think they're hallucinations or ghosts, but eventually they figure out that they really are real people in other parts of the world. They're just able to share each other's thoughts, visit each other, and feel each other's emotions, which is really funny. It's one of my favorite parts is when one of them is in like a bad mood or something, and so another one of them like kind of picks up on that and is like, I don't know why I'm feeling like I'm in a bad mood all of a sudden, like, and then like the one who's in a bad mood is just standing there like, sorry, that's me. But yeah, the main plot of the thing is like there's people who don't want these sensates to exist and think that they're dangerous for humanity, and so they're trying to eliminate them and kill them, basically, which is a very typical plot with this kind of thing. Like, I feel like that sounds very like normal, like a typical average plot like you've probably heard before, but I swear the way that this is done is different than anything you've ever seen. And if you ever do give this a chance, let me know. I will talk your ear off about it. I love it. I highly, 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 highly cannot recommend this show enough. This is maybe like my favorite show, or one of my favorite shows of all time ever. Fantastic. Only 2 seasons. Another one that I just want to mention very briefly is that I did rewatch Avatar: The Last Airbender in preparation for the live action show that is going to come out this February. I'm very excited about it, and I just wanted a little refresher, and I just wanted to say that if you haven't watched Avatar: The Last Airbender up to this point, you really, 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 really should. It's like the best thing ever. Shows, books, movies, games, I've said it before, everything. It's one of my top favorite fictional stories of all time. I just think the world is super interesting, and watch Avatar. I also watched a little bit of House MD. This is just like a regular old like hospital show, but it's a little bit more quirky because it's not like a bunch of like hot doctors doing hot doctor things and like having drama about like which nurse's aide is with who or whatever happens in the other ones. This doctor show is a little bit more interesting because it centers around House, which is a painkiller addicted, bitter old man who really, like, you wouldn't think that he would have a job where he helps people because it doesn't seem like that's what he likes to do. He's very, like, non-social and hates people, but it just makes it that much more interesting to watch him, like, figure out these medical cases, and he's really good at, like, figuring out the medical part. He's just terrible at the social part, and sometimes he'll just, like, tell a patient, like, yeah, this is not looking good, maybe you shouldn't have, like, done this or whatever, and he's just very offensive, but in, like, the most interesting way. I think it's really fun. There's this one scene where he starts barking like a dog in the elevator, just to, like, get a rouse out of somebody else, and it stays in my mind forever. I will always think of that. Another show I watched is this new show that I found on Netflix called Beef. It has the guy who plays Glenn from The Walking Dead in it, so that's fun. Right after I just binged through the whole thing. What a surprise. But I actually super really enjoyed this one. Like, this is just an entire little short series about two people who have beef with one another, and the entire time are just in this big petty fight where they're both in, like, important parts of their lives and have a lot of important things going on, but they're constantly being sabotaged by each other, in this giant game of being petty, of, like, getting each other back for this, like, one little thing that started it all. And it's hilarious. It's really, really funny. I had a great time with it, and I just highly recommend it to anyone who likes, like, a little cute, like, squabble between people. It's just really well done. It's just really well made. I'm just really happy with this one. I rewatched Teen Titans this year. Teen Titans is actually really fun, really cute. It is a old animated series about, like, you know, the Teen Titans. But it's, I don't know, it's just really cute. I forgot how good it is. I don't know, I'm not really sure, like, what to say about it exactly, besides that it's really good. I used to really be obsessed with Beast Boy when I was younger, which is, like, the green one who can turn into any animal he wants. Mostly I thought his power was just, like, the coolest, and he's kind of like the funny one and the comic relief, which I tend to gravitate towards. But this time around, I was watching it a little bit closer, and I just think that, like, Raven and Robin even have, like, a lot more depth to them than I realized that they did, and a lot more going on. Especially Raven. It's just, I didn't realize, like, how much of her, how hard she has to work to keep herself in line. Like, everyone else is just goofing around, having a great time. They have, like, you know, normal little powers. Robin doesn't even have powers. He's just really good at, like, gymnastics, basically. but Raven is constantly has to keep her emotions under control, because if she has extreme emotions, it's just going to trigger, like, a giant magic problem, which has happened before in some of the episodes. So, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like a much bigger connection to Raven this time than I did before. I also really appreciated Starfire more than usual, too, just because, like, I didn't realize how adorable she is. That one time when she's like, "What is this delicious drink we're having?" And everyone's like, "Starfire, that's mustard." And she's like, "Delicious, is there any more?" I don't know, it's like, so, it's very childish, but, like, it hits something with me, you know? Like, it hits something in me. It really, it's something I need. It's very comforting. I'm hype about this one. I'm hype about this one. I watched the One Piece live action remake this year, and it was fucking incredible. Incredible. Amazing. I don't even I wasn't even that big of a fan of One Piece, mostly because the series is too long and I'm not about to commit to that. Um I watched like the first maybe 50 episodes or so before I had to give up. And I did enjoy those. I thought they were fun. They weren't particularly striking to me. Like, it didn't really like stick with me, especially not enough for me to keep on going with this incredibly long series. But when the live action came around, I was like, hell yeah, absolutely, I will definitely check that out. I mean, why not? This one's definitely going to be a lot shorter. Can't keep physical actors around that long, as long as you can keep on animating. So, but it shocked me. It surprised me. One Piece seems like the kind of anime that you shouldn't be able to make live action and have it work. There's a lot of things that like I felt like were a core part of the anime that weren't going to be possible in live action, especially like literally just the main thing, like Luffy's power. He has the power, if you don't know, he has the power of like stretch. Like he can like stretch everywhere, and I think he calls it, no, I was gonna say bungee gum, and then I was like, that is not One Piece, that's Hunter x Hunter. But same, no, not the same idea. Take all of that back. Listen, he can stretch out his body anywhere he wants. His limbs are super extendo. He's Mr. Fantastic, whatever. I was like, there's no way they're going to make that look good in live action. There's no way. It's going to look stupid. It's going to look stupid. And some of the settings and stuff. And then it didn't. It didn't. Somehow they figured it out. Somehow it looks really good. And like the best part is the fighting. The fighting sequences. Somebody put their heart and soul into that choreography and that camera work. And like sometimes the camera will like kind of like fly like around the people fighting. Like my hand's the camera and this is the people fighting, and it's just like moving around and like capturing like just the right things at just the right moment, and it impressed me. Like this, it's beautifully shot, it's beautifully done. I don't know how they did it. I would just highly recommend to anyone, I don't care if you liked One Piece the anime, it's not the same thing. It is the same thing. It's very respectful to the source material. If you liked the One Piece anime, you will like this. If you didn't like the One Piece anime, you still have a chance of liking this, because it's like it's just good. it's just good. The End of the Fucking World is a show that I think I watched this year. Could have been at the end of last year, but again, I have no way of knowing because I did not prepare for this. So I'm gonna count it here. The End of the Fucking World is about this kid who basically realizes that he's having psychopathic thoughts and decides he wants to murder somebody. He thinks it's time. It's time for him to just make a move on his impulses and kill someone. So he picks out this girl from his class, and then she ends up being not like the other girls in the best way. She is just different and like throws him off guard, throws everyone off guard. Both us and this boy are like, who is this girl? What is up with her? And she basically is so intriguing that he ends up spending a lot more time with her and like planning to kill her, but then never ends up going through with it because there's something about her that's really fascinating to him. Both of these people are children, by the way. I think that I made that clear because I said school, but they're both kids. But basically, like, she ends up convincing him to run away from home, and his home life is not good either. Neither of their home lives is good. So they end up running away together and going on like this whole road trip journey thing. But they're both off their rocker, bonkers, crazy people. So, and they're both under 18. So like they run into a lot of issues and very interesting scenarios. And I would highly recommend this one as well. I really, really, really enjoyed it. Really, really good. Keep Breathing. This is a short series that I found on Netflix that I watched on a whim. Can't say that I remember too much of it. I just know that it was about a girl who hitched a ride with these people who were flying a solo plane because she was in a very desperate situation, and reluctantly they let her on because they were going in the same direction, but their plane ends up crashing and they both die, and she's left alone on the island by herself, just trying to survive. And then as she's trying to survive, there's also a bunch of moments where she is exploring the plane wreckage and like trying to figure things out, and uncovers that they weren't just some average guys on a trip together. They were part of like this big business. I believe it was like selling drugs. And basically like she ends up trying to figure out like if anyone's going to be coming for them, because no one knew that this plane was flying because it was doing illegal business, so it wasn't like reported the normal way. So like she doesn't know if anyone like knows that their plane was out here or where it was going, or that she was here, and she doesn't know if rescue's coming, and there's just a lot to it. She also doesn't know if like these other guys who are involved in this shady business are going to come show up and like look for their money or their drugs, because there's a bunch of money and drugs on the plane. And I don't know, it just gets kind of wild. But I had a really good time with it. I thought it was super interesting, and I would recommend it personally. I wouldn't say it's like top of the list on things I watched this year, but it was definitely interesting, and I had a good time with it, for sure. I watched Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the animated version. This was brand new on Netflix very, very recently. I expected it to basically be like a comic adaptation, because I know that there's 6 comic books or graphic novels for it, I believe, and those are what sparked the movie. But obviously, I figured the movie was going in kind of a different direction, or maybe took the plot of like one of the novels and adapted it. But I didn't know what like the rest of the comic is about. I haven't read it yet. I did get the first one this year, so hopefully this year I'll be able to read the actual Scott Pilgrim books. But going into it thinking that that was what it was going to be, I don't think that's what it is. I can't imagine that this is how the comic series goes. And I've gotten confirmation from a friend who has read them that this is very much not how the comic goes. um, it definitely wasn't bad. I really love the animation. I do love like where they went with it, and like the idea of it, and it was still very charming and cute and nice, and I liked it. I just took some particular issue in the fact that this next sentence might be a spoiler, so cover your ears if you really, really don't want anything. But I will say that Scott Pilgrim himself is not the main character of this series, and that really threw me off. Like, threw me for a real loop. Like, you barely even see him at all. And that really surprised me in a strange way. I don't know how I felt about it. And then the ending was weird. I didn't love the end of it. I didn't really know like what kind of message they were trying to tell us, if you know what I mean. Like if you know, right? But like without spoiling it, it's like I don't know. It didn't seem like it was sending a message that was a good one. It just seemed like it was like kind of confusing on what they wanted us to get out of this and why it ended the way it did. I don't know. I didn't like the ending personally. I really just didn't. I'll just say it wasn't nah. I did enjoy this series overall though. I did have a good time with it. I think it's charming. I think it's beautiful. I just was surprised in a negative way. But maybe if I like let some time pass and come back to it for a second watch, I can really appreciate it a little bit more without the expectations I had going in. But it was still good. I still highly recommend it, but maybe not like super highly, like medium highly recommend it. Well, that's it for the traditional TV shows. I want to mention 3 animes that I watched this year very quickly, and then I'll go into the movies that I can remember. I watched Madoka Magica again for like the 500th time this year. It never fails. It's only like 12 or 13 episodes, so I end up watching it all of the time because I could basically watch it in a single day, single sitting. It looks and appears in every way to be like your average magical girl, power of friendship, like ooh, kind of like cutesy kawaii anime, all about like love and friends. And then the more episodes you watch, the more you're like, oh, wait a second, we're doing something different here. And then eventually you realize like this is not a cute anime. This disguises itself as a cute anime, and then it gets really dark. It's sad, it's heartbreaking, it's dark, it's crazy. I just really, really recommend this one. If you haven't seen Madoka Magica, go and watch it right now. You could watch it so quickly. I promise you won't regret it. Please just do it. Another one that was kind of a rewatch, kind of a new one, is Demon Slayer. I had already seen the first season and the train arc, so like the movie that they did. Really, really enjoyed it. Really dark and but also like sweet. And Tanjiro is just such. I love him. He's such a little cinnamon ball, and oh, I feel so bad for him. But I don't know. I saw the 3rd season, and it was basically like the entire season revolved around one singular fight, and it kind of like threw me off of my loop a little bit with this because I was really, really into Demon Slayer. But on this rewatch, certain things started to bother me, like, and that was one of them, is that the fights in this anime are extremely long and very detailed, and you see every single hit, you see every single stage of it. It takes many episodes to get through one fight, which I know can be normal in anime, and a lot of people like that. It's not my thing. I don't love to just like hover on the same thing for too long. But it wasn't bad. It was like really, really well animated. The show still continues to be extremely well animated and beautiful. And I still really care for the characters, but that was one thing that got me a little bit off guard. And the other thing is the invincibility of the characters. Another thing that I know is pretty popular in anime in general, and a lot of people don't have any issues with it. But for me personally, I don't really love that most of these characters, especially Tanjiro, can get like mortally wounded and then continue fighting because they just are that strong and they have that much like perseverance and motivation that like they just can't, like they'll be like almost passing out 1 second, and then the next second they'll like drag themselves off the ground and like deliver like the fucking most powerful blow that they've ever done, and then they're just fine. They kind of like forget that they got stabbed 4 times. Like, I don't know. It's not like the worst thing. I just wanted to mention it because it did kind of bother me. Season 4, though, got me right back into it because that one had a lot more variety, a lot more going on, a lot more to focus on than just one fight. And it also had like a lot more like emotional impact. Like there was like it made me cry at one point. I remember like literally crying towards the end of the last season of, or the most recent season of Demon Slayer, just because of the characters and some things that happen. And if you haven't seen the series, I also really recommend this one as well. Spy Family. This one almost didn't even make it on the list, but I binged it so fucking fast that here we are, baby. Listen, I watched this for the first time. Well, I watched like 2 episodes a while ago, but I forgot to ever come back to it. I forgot I even saw it. This year I was reminded of its existence, and I was able to watch a few episodes during my Secret Santa thing with my friends, and they pretty much convinced me to keep on going with it. I immediately got my friend's Crunchyroll login, and I have been binging the absolute hell out of this show. I think I only have like a couple of episodes left. I'm so close, but it's just like a very casual show about a family, a fake family, who ends up getting together. It's like a spy father who needs to create a fake family for his spy mission. So he ends up finding this woman who is willing to be his fake wife because she needs to prove to her brother that she is happy and that she doesn't need a man, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't want to actually, like, date someone for realsy. So she ends up being like, yeah, I'll fake date you. It benefits us both. Thing is, he doesn't know that she's an assassin, and she doesn't know that he's a spy either. And from there, we already have enough chaos. But then, like, part of the spy mission involves the need for a child. So they end up adopting a child to raise together in this false family, and the child ends up being a telepath who can read minds. And so it just makes the whole thing so convoluted because then like they don't know assassin mom doesn't know that the dad is a spy. The spy doesn't know that the mom is an assassin. Neither of them know that the kid is a mind reader, and she, because she can hear everyone's thoughts, is the only one in the family that knows who everyone is. She's fully aware that her mom is an assassin, but loves her anyway. And oh, it's just great. It's just like a little like slice of life, but like with the like weirdest, most unique, twisted family I have ever heard of. And oh, it's just so cute. It's like a comfort thing. It's entertaining. It's got like an overall arcing story as well, but also each individual episode is almost its own little plot line. I don't know. It's just like really enjoyable. I've been having a really, really, really fun time with it, and I just super cannot recommend it enough to people who have not seen it. And I've only just started. I've spent like 5 days watching this, and I'm obsessed. Greetings from the future. I know this video isn't long enough, so it's time for me to drop in a couple more that I totally forgot to discuss, because I forgot some of the best ones of the whole year somehow. First of all, I just want to mention The Last of Us. This is something that I talked about in my game wrap up, but I forgot to mention that I did watch the TV show that came out for it as well. I think it was one of the best game adaptations I have ever seen, mostly because I think the game itself is very heavily story based and like kind of plays like a movie, like an interactive movie. So like turning it into a TV show is like perfect and easy and worked out just fine for them. Um, they did change up a little something something. Like I think the vampires. Oh my gosh, the zombies like one of the ways they can spread their disease to other people is like basically like kissing them. Like I guess it's like the kiss of death or something. I don't know. Maybe it's a metaphor. I hated it. This one girl just like stood there while a zombie came up and like locked lips. But you know what? We're not going to talk about that. Overall, it was like really good, really interesting. I liked it. Also on the zombie spectrum, I was marathoning a lot of zombie stuff in the beginning of the month that I totally forgot about. The only one I want to mention real quick is what is it called? It's called All of Us Are Dead, and it's on Netflix. It is I think it's Korean, but it's not English. But it's good. It's really good. It tells like the origin story of the zombie apocalypse, which is not something we get very often. Usually someone is just having their average day and then it like breaks out all at once suddenly. And this one, it was more of like the rage virus concept where like instead of being brain dead, the zombies are more like just like absolutely enraged and like most of them are brain dead, but there are these ones called like the Hambies, which are like people who like ended up turning into a zombie while they were in the midst of like one of their most angry or depressing moments of their life, and that makes them like retain some of their memories once they turn over, and then they're just like this like really strong person who's just like angry all the time and is immune to the zombies and just can like walk through them and like but has like a conscious. It is the coolest thing I've ever heard of. And like I said, like we get to like find out like the origins, like they tell us like how it started and like who was the first zombie, and like it all starts like in one school, and this it's like taking place in this school, and it's like it's really good. I had a really, really, really good time with it, and it's like very unique in terms of like zombie apocalypse. Another one I forgot about is Sonic Prime. I watched Sonic Prime seasons 1 and 2. They're really good. I love the animation. I think they're treating the characters really well. We haven't gotten to see too much of Shadow, so I can't really say for sure that he's been treated well. Everyone else has, but I will say that it's a little bit hard to like get to know the characters in this one if you don't actually know them from any other media. I don't know that I would start with this because it kind of involves like multiple universes and different versions of the characters. Especially like Tails, Amy, and Rouge and Knuckles. Those four are always like in a different scenario and like acting different. Sometimes they have different names. There's totally different personalities. It's part of like the storyline, and I get it. Like that's what happens with like multiverse stuff. But I'm just saying like the only one who keeps their original personality for the entire show is Sonic. It is really, really interesting though and really well done, and I'm so happy to have like a modern Sonic cartoon that like tells an adventure for him that's not like Sonic Boom, which I also enjoyed, but that's more of like a comedy and like kind of like making fun of the series, like making fun of itself. This one is like an actual like we're trying to make a good story, like a good adventure. Like I'm very, very interested. Season 3 should be out soon. I'm very, very interested. The last one I'm going to try and talk about very, very quickly is Killing Eve. I cannot believe that I forgot to talk about Killing Eve. This was one of my favorite shows of the whole year. The other ones I don't think really affect my rankings, but this one might be in my top shows of the year if I had remembered it. It's about like this assassin who's really good at her job, and she's not an FBI agent. What is she? She's like a detective of some kind. I can't remember her exact like job role, but it's her job to like track down this assassin and like figure this out. And I don't know, it's just like they kind of like get obsessed with each other, you know? Because the assassin like learns who she is and like starts leaving her little like clues or little like, you almost got me, maybe next time kind of stuff. And like both of them just become like obsessed with each other and are constantly trying to like find each other and are like breaking the rules of their own things. Like the assassin is breaking the rules of the people who are like who hired her and have her like working these jobs, and she breaks them to like try to like send messages to Eve, and then Eve will break her job by like letting her get away or like pretending like she doesn't like know something that she does because she kind of doesn't want to catch the assassin. It's really good. It's really, really, really good, and I super highly recommend it for sure. Anyway, let's get back to what we were doing because this video, like I said, is already so long. Well, that took forever actually for me to talk about all of the shows that I remember watching this year. I'm sure there was many more, but now I have to get into all of the movies as well, which turns out that could almost be its own separate video at this point. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna just go through it real quick. We're gonna go real quick, okay? Real quick through these movies, okay? They're only 2-hour films. I don't need to go in depth. The first one I have written down is called Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you are at all in the movie sphere, I'm sure you've heard of this one, at least from somebody. It is wild. It is insane. It's maybe one of my favorite movies that I watched the entire year. I wouldn't even know how to begin to describe it. But it's like a lot of it's more like alternate universe stuff, nihilism, like a family just trying to work things out. It's like 50 stories all wrapped up into one. It's funny, it's sad, it talks about like metaphorical problems and hopes and dreams and thoughts and everything. Everything is talked about in this. Like existential crisis is like the theme of the thing, I would say, and family bonding and like whatever. It is beautifully shot and filmed. The cinematography took me somewhere else and transported me, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. If you have not seen this, please see it. Please, it's 2 hours. You can make time for that. It's worth it. I promise you, it's worth it. Speaking of worth it, here's a movie that's not. Ant-Man Quantum Theory. So this was a movie I was forced to watch this year. My parents came to come and visit me and decided, well, that we should go see a movie. And I figured, well, I don't really get along with my parents very well, and a movie sounds great because then I don't actually have to talk to them. I just get to sit in a dark room with them, watch a movie, and then be like, cool, we hung out. Done. Um, but then I was informed that what we were watching was Ant-Man, and I was like, okay, that could be okay. I'm not really super into Marvel or superhero movies. I think a lot of them are like trying too hard, and like I can feel the corporate greed seeping out of the film. But Ant-Man's not bad. I've seen like the original Ant-Man, and I didn't think it was that bad. I like the guy who plays him, and I think that out of all of the movies, Ant-Man is not one of the worst. It's not that bad. This one is bad. This one is really bad. There's this moment where there's like this man and he looks like a baby and he's just like stuck in this robot suit, and it like reminds me of like, you know, Shark Boy and Lava Girl, where they have George Lopez's face and he's like Electro Man or whatever, and he's like in a big orb with like arms and legs, and it haunted everyone's childhood. That's exactly what this baby guy looks like. Imagine that, but instead of George Lopez, it's a grown man that looks like a baby, and he's stuck. He's stuck in there, and he's making Marvel jokes. And you know what? Like, I just don't really have the time to talk about this anymore. Than that, it's not good. I don't recommend it. Don't see Ant-Man. Don't do it to yourself. It's also so long. It was like 3 hours of Ant-Man, guy. I don't know how I survived. Oh. I do remember watching Sea Beast on Netflix. Sea Beast is really cute. It's like this little animated film. It's about like pirates and bounty hunters and stuff, but mostly it's about this little girl who is the only one who can see these creatures for what they are. Most people in this world are like they like hunt these creatures for trophies, and they hunt them to keep the area safe and protect the town and the world from these beasts that live out in the ocean. And this little girl ends up somehow on a trip with this man who is supposed to be hunting these beasts and is known as one of like the best hunters of all time. And she's like the only one who can realize that, no, I think these beasts are just fighting back. They're not bad. They've just been constantly attacked by humans throughout the years, and so they don't trust them, and so they attack them. But they're not bad. They're really nice, and she meets a nice one. It's like a little blue blob guy, and I don't know, it's just like, it's really adorable. It's kind of like a very typical story, I would say. Like, it's not bringing anything new to the table, but it does in like an old classic storyline really well. It's in like with modern animation and modern storytelling, and it's just like shot and put together really nicely and really sweet. And I really liked it. I really did. I liked it a lot. Nimona. So I've talked about this when I talked about the books that I read this year, but I read the graphic novel for Nimona and really liked it and recommended it to all my friends. And then like 2 months later or something, like, I don't know what the odds of that are. I don't know how that happened to me, but 2 months later, or like 3 months later, it's announced that there's going to be a movie for it on Netflix, which I didn't know. And then it like almost immediately drops, and I immediately go to watch it, and it's great. It does not follow the graphic novel as closely as I might have thought it does. There's a lot of parts of it that kind of skew off in a different direction, but overall, both of them are good. I'm not even mad that they did something different with the movie. And I'm not mad that it's not like a perfect adaptation of the graphic novel, because they're both great in their own ways. And I don't know, this one also made me cry. I've already watched it like 4 times since it came out, and I just really enjoy it. I really love it. I think it's super cute. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with Nimona. Yeah, Oh, here's a little thing, I think I already described it for books, but basically it's about this girl who can shapeshift and whatever, and she decides she's going to be the sidekick to this evil villain, but then this villain is like, I don't need a sidekick, I'm not actually a villain, it's all a misunderstanding. So then like it's a very interesting dynamic between her trying to be like, so we're going to do something evil, right? And him being like, "No. No, we're not evil. We're not evil. We're just gonna do this nice little thing that's gonna prove my innocence." And she's like, and then we'll do something evil, right? I don't know. It's cute. It's really cute. Next up, Barbie. I watched the Barbie movie. I sure did. Um, it was fun. I really liked it. Everyone likes it. Everyone. I feel like everyone's already seen this. Do I even need to say anything? I, I don't know. It was really good. I don't know what else to say besides that. You saw it. I'm sure you did. Yeah, I don't know. It had just some like really good messaging. I really enjoyed how it was it started off being like, oh, like girls are better, girls run the world in the Barbie world, but then like you find out like Ken has his own feelings, and it's basically like a whole thing about feminism, but it's like taken from the other end of the rope. Basically, it's like the hypothetical world where like all of the women are the ones who are in charge of everything, and the men are kind of stomped all over. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it kind of puts it into like a new perspective for some people who might need to see that. But overall, it is just a fun movie. It's just fun. It's really cute. I like seeing all the different kinds of Barbies, especially the one that the what'd she call herself? The messed up Barbie or something? Because like her hair is all cut and all messed up, and I was like, yeah, that was me. I was trying to get my Barbie's bangs when I was a kid. Anyone else try to straighten their Barbie's hair and then realize that they have plastic hair, and then you have melted plastic all over your straightener and your mom got really mad? Or was that just me? The Super Mario Bros. Movie. I did end up watching this one, and you know what? It was good. I thought it was pretty good. I was very surprised. I wasn't really sure what to think going into it. Just because a lot of the times movies like these will either be trying too hard, kind of like Sonic was, giving me some like Marvel vibes where it's just like, okay, like this is just corporate greed. But, this one just felt a little different. It felt just like everyone was having a good time. Everyone wanted to just like represent Mario and give a shout out to the series, and everyone did a really good job. And there was all like those famous people casted as the voice actors, which I thought was an interesting take, because that's not always the best option, because sometimes I can't like hear Bowser, all I hear is Jack Black. But in this one it's like it's not really like that. Like most of them I forgot that they were the ones playing that. Even Jack Black, because he actually puts on a little bit of a voice for this one, instead of just playing himself like he usually does. Not that that's an insult. I love Jack Black, but he does usually like play himself. But he really went for Bowser this time. He really did. I thought they all did really great. I will say, like, Chris Pratt as Mario is still not the option that I would have chosen, but I don't think it's as bad as people are saying it was or think it would be. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I think they should have cast somebody else, but it wasn't that bad. Charlie Day as Luigi, though, was actually kind of perfect. Kind of fit just right. So that was fun. I don't know. It was just a good time. Just a good time. That's it. What Happened to Monday is a movie that I have seen before this year, but I remember specifically that I showed this one to my sister this year because I was so hype about it, and I wanted to see if she would be just as surprised by the twists and turns as I was, and she was almost even more so. Like, I really enjoyed watching her react to the surprise twist that happens at the end. She was shocked. Um, I always love a good surprise twist. If they can actually get me with it, fantastic. Um, this is basically the story of the future in a scenario where something happens with people's genetics and that kind of thing, and it causes them to have multiple babies. So it's a huge uprising in like twins and triplets and quadruplets and just like way more babies than one. And so like there's an outrageous overpopulation problem. And so after that, births of multiple babies are banned. And if you happen to give birth to two or more babies, you have to choose one of them and get rid of the other, you know? And of course, that doesn't work out for everybody. Not everyone's going to play by the rules on that one. So there is this family, essentially, where, well, there was the dad and the mom died giving birth to 7 babies. And so the dad is left to raise these 7 babies alone, secretly, because he refused to get rid of any of them. And because there's 7 of them, he decided to name them after one of each of the days of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever. And they go out on their day of the week. So Friday will go out on Fridays, Sunday goes out on Sundays, so on and so on. And they each go out one day of the week. Otherwise, they're inside, kept safe from everyone. But there's one day where one of them, Monday, does not come back at the end of the day. And so, of course, they're confused by this. They don't know what to do. And by this time, their dad is dead. That's not a spoiler. It happens very soon. But they end up, like, being 7 adult women still trying to live out their life this way in, like, their 30s. And, yeah, Monday doesn't come home, and they don't know what to do about that. They don't know if they should leave, because if 2 of them are out in the world at the same time, they could get caught as being twins, and that kind of thing. So it's just, it's a crazy scenario, and then it just gets wilder and wilder as it goes on. Highly, 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 highly recommend this one. Really, really love this one. Don't Look Up. This is a movie I watched about the end of the world. These scientists kind of find out that the world is going to be ending and have to do everything they can to convince the major political powers of the world that this is actually going to happen, and convince them to take this seriously. And of course, they really don't take any of it seriously until it's happening, and basically that's the plot. I thought it was okay. It's got like a lot of famous actors in it, and they did a good job, but it's not going to be something that I really remember going forward in the future, or really am that obsessed about. It was just like, it was fine. It was a good, like, one-time movie. I was just bored one day, you just put it on, kind of thing. It was alright. You know what was not alright? The fact that I decided that I was going to spend my time watching Morbius. Tell me why I did that, okay? Because I don't know why, alright? I thought I wanted to be in on the loop, okay? I thought I wanted to know what people were talking about. What the hell is Morbius? Let me know. I didn't need to know. It wasn't like the worst thing ever. I don't know that it's like as bad as people like make it out to be. I think like shitting on it was kind of part of the meme and part of the joke. So like people would shit on it even if it wasn't the worst thing ever, because it's just kind of tacky and silly, um, more than anything. Like, there was some parts of it that I really enjoyed, um, and thought were like an interesting idea. Like, I always liked the idea of like maybe somebody invents vampirism by injecting themselves with bat DNA and somehow that works. Like that tracks for me. That makes sense. I like having like reasons for there being things like vampires. Like this was an intriguing idea for an origin story of how vampires came to be. There was a lot of stuff though that I didn't enjoy. A lot of stuff that was just weird and like out of left field and didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like especially like the lines of dialogue, I feel like I can't remember any of them off the top of my head, but I remember sometimes like he would just say something and I'd be like, "What? What are you talking about right now?" You know? Oh, God, and the ending was weird. It was weird. It was weird. It's not Mobin time, guys. We gotta mob out of here. Get. Another movie that I finally watched this year is Claws. This is a movie that was suggested to me last year, but I didn't watch it because it was too close to Christmas already. This year, I was looking for a fun little Christmas movie, and I popped in Claws, and I really thought it was fun. I really did. It's like a little origin story to Santa, and I really liked the fact that he is not like this happy-go-lucky, like jovial man in this one. Like he's like this really beefy, very strong, quiet man instead, and I really like that. I love like the whole like reasoning they have for him like making toys and why he does that and like where his shop came from and like all the reindeer, like it just explains everything but in like such a logical way that like I would have never thought of, but it makes so much logical sense for how Santa could have happened. Like if he were real, like this would make so much sense as an origin story, and it's just really cute. It's really well animated, it's well acted, it's just done well. I recommend this for anyone looking for a Christmas movie, even though it's now January. Another Christmas movie that I ended up watching, it was a new one with Eddie Murphy in it, I think. It's called Candy Cane Lane, and it's about this guy who's trying to win the contest for the most amazing, coolest, awesome Christmas extravaganza in his front yard ever, and that's gonna get him money. And he needs that money because he just got fired, so he's trying to get some cash. So he's trying to win this contest, and he ends up finding this very, very sketchy Santa's workshop under a bridge somewhere. Just like in the middle of nowhere, man. Like, and he's like, yeah, yeah, this seems like a great place to stop. And they go in there, and everything seems really spooky and magical. And I would be turning my tail and getting the hell out of that shop, but he kept on going. And essentially, he ends up in a big feud with like a magical elf an ex-elf, basically. It's like Santa has kicked her out of the Santa's workshop because she was bad at everything, and now she's just out here selling Christmas goods to regular people, but Santa doesn't know she's been using his magic to like curse some of the items, and yeah, I feel like I'm just like explaining the whole plot now, but this was the most recent one that I watched. I watched this like on Christmas. It was fine. It was alright. It was okay. It was like a regular family movie. It's exactly what you would expect. It is just, if you want a modern version of your average Christmas movie, this is for you. It is funny. It has a lot of good lines. It is well done, well acted, whatever. It's just like it didn't bring anything particularly interesting to the table for me to bring up, but it was good. Thumbs up. I watched the movie for All Together Now, which is sitting up here. It is a book that is by Matthew Quick, which is an author that I have read before and enjoyed, so I thought I would check out the movie. And then I also happened to find this at the Dollar Tree, so I picked up the book as well. I have not read it, to be fair, but I did watch the movie, and it was cute. It was nice. It was just like an average coming of age type of story, but it was like done in a really well way. Like usually those will kind of bore me a little bit because I've already learned all those lessons. I've already gone through all of that in my personal life. It's more of like made for teenagers, I would say. But this one was like just really interesting and like caught my heartstrings and made me feel something by the end of it. And so I gotta give it props for that. Something that didn't make me feel anything, Family Switch. This was a weird random family movie that I found on Netflix. I don't know why I watched this. It was weird. It was just a lot of like Freaky Friday type of stuff, but like not actually any of like the lessons or the good stuff that comes with Freaky Friday. Just like the beginning. Like imagine like the first 20 minutes of Freaky Friday, but that's the whole movie. You know? Like they don't really even like learn or grow from each other. They just make a lot of jokes about being in each other's bodies. It's like the dad and the son switch and the mom and the daughter switch, and then there's a lot of jokes, and it wasn't my thing. It wasn't my thing. It wasn't bad, but I wouldn't watch it again, personally. So, moving on. I watched Jaws because it ended up being on Netflix this year, and I was like, you know what? Jaws is famous. I had never watched it. I'm gonna get so much hate. I thought it was so boring, you guys. The music is great, and like I thought it was boring. I thought it was boring. I thought it was boring. I'm sorry. This is the truth. That's all I can say. Year One is a movie with Michael Cera and Jack Black, which already kind of implies it's going to be a great time. It was very funny. It was good. It was just kind of average, though. It was another one of those like comedy movies where it's like, haha, doofus do stupid thing. Haha, hilarious. Like, again, nothing like new, nothing exciting, nothing really for me to say. It's just like Michael Cera and Jack Black are pretending that they are prehistoric people and they're dumb, and that's the whole movie. Lyle Crocodile was a movie that I watched, but can't remember anything. I just saw it on Netflix while I was looking through it, and I was like, hey, I think I watched that. I don't remember anything. I think it's about just like this guy who really needs like a special act for his circus show or his magic show or something, and then he finds a crocodile that can sing, and he's like, that's my boy, that's my main man, and the insanity ensues. I don't know, it was fine. I don't remember any of it. The School for Good and Evil was absolutely bonkers banana nuts, if I do say so myself. It's insane. It's weird. What am I watching? This is the story of a girl, two girls. One of them is like, I'm definitely the good girl. I'm definitely a hero. I would never do anything wrong ever. I'm so precious. And the other girl's like, I'm definitely like not up for like morality and like doing good things for good people. It's stupid. And then they get to the school for good and evil, and both of them are sorted into like the wrong class, and I'm exhausted just trying to explain this, but basically it's like, I don't know, they get sorted into the wrong classes and they try to make it work for themselves. So like the bad girl is like, maybe I can be good. I'll like keep myself together. Maybe this is where I really am supposed to be. And meanwhile, the girl who thought she was good is kind of like losing her mind and being like, this can't be right, and trying to prove that this other girl is a bad person and that she's stolen her spot on the good team and whatever. It's a lot of like teenage bickering and silliness, and honestly, if you want a good idea of what this movie is, just watch the trailer, okay? It'll show you what's going on, because it's crazy, and not in the best way. But that's pretty much it. I know I watched a bunch more good movies, I'm sure. I feel like this list is made up of a bunch of like really weird, terrible movies that I found on Netflix one day and vaguely remember watching. Um, this year, I think I'm gonna try to actually keep a list so that I actually know which ones I definitely did watch, and that should help me out a lot. But as of today, this is all of the movies that I can remember. Um, I would say of the TV shows that I watched this year, obviously my top favorites are going to be Sense8 and Avatar, but I already had seen those before. So if we're going for a TV show that is new to me this year that I had never seen before, that is top of the tier, I would say either the One Piece live action really surprised me and could really be put up there at number one, and I would not be mad. Also, Spy Family. I am absolutely addicted to Spy Family right now and highly recommend that one. So, One Piece live action and Spy Family. Go and see them. As for the movies, I would say my top suggestions would probably be Everything Everywhere All at Once or Pneumonia. Those ones are definitely maybe the best two movies that I saw this year. I also really enjoyed Barbie. I would put it up there. And What Happened to Monday is a very big suggestion for me. Although, again, that one is one that I had watched before this year, so a little biased with that one. If we're talking like worst TV shows that I put myself through this year, I would definitely have to say that Sweet Tooth is not a recommendation that I would make. It seemed like it might be up my alley for the first couple episodes even. I kept going for like way longer than I should have because I kept thinking maybe it's just got a rough start, but no, it just gets rougher. I don't recommend Sweet Tooth. Obviously, when it comes to movies, I would have to say that the lowest on my tier is probably Morbius. I don't know why I put myself through that. I just wanted to know what everyone was talking about. Okay, I knew it was going to be bad, so maybe that buffered the blow a little bit. Maybe that's why I don't hate it as much as I thought I would really hate it. Is because I expected to hate it, and I hated it a little less than I thought I would, actually. But it's still the bottom of the list, let me be clear. That and The School for Good and Evil. I really thought that one was very silly. stupid, not good, bad, dumb, childish, not good. Don't watch it. Yeah, but that's it. That's my extremely long recap of all the shows and movies that I remember watching this year. I'm sure there was so much more. I'm sure I'm going to remember later and be really mad. But for now, that's all I've got. And I'm going to do another video on books and another one on games. So if you want to see those will be there. Other than that, I will see you next year for another recap, hopefully. And throughout the year, I think I might do a couple of other things occasionally as well. I want to do a video at some point of like my favorites of all time for movies and books and stuff. I could give you like my top favorites of all time, the worst ones of all time, whatever you guys might think would be interesting. I could be down for. Hopefully some shorter lists next time so that I don't have to do like hour-long videos. Not that I mind it. It's just it just takes a little bit more energy and work and memory. I don't remember a lot of these that great, and I didn't feel like looking any of them up, so I apologize if my descriptions weren't the best. But anyway, I think it'll be fun. I want to do a bookshelf reorganization video as well, that kind of thing. There might even be like certain specific things that if it really strikes a chord with me, either in a bad way or a good way, I might come on and do a video that's specific to like one book or one movie or one thing that specifically got to me and do like a spoiler in-depth thing. But we'll see if I have the time or the effort or the energy. If not, I'm just glad that I have these at least to start with and to look back on. So that's that. This is Plot Riot. You can find my writing on the same name at plotriot.substack.com. You can find me on Twitch doing gaming streams at Peach Noise. And I also have a YouTube where I do edited down versions of my streams, so you can see me you can watch me play all of the games that I played this year on YouTube. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I gotta go before this becomes 2 hours. Bye!